Okay, I think good evening, everybody. My name is Tracy Craig. I'll be moderating tonight's meeting. This is the third community meeting for the Berryessa Transit-Oriented Development Project. I'm going to give people just a couple more minutes to get on via Zoom, and we'll start promptly at 6:03. Our presentation is about 30 minutes, lots of time afterwards for questions and answers. And I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your evening tonight and joining us. We really appreciate your attendance and your input. And again, for anybody that's just joined, this is the third community meeting for the Berryessa Station Community Meeting. And we will get started promptly at 6:03. We're just going to give people 2 more minutes to join the meeting. Thank you. Right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. This is the third community meeting for the Berryessa Transit-Oriented Development Project. I'd like to welcome everyone. We are really, really glad that you're here. I want to let you know we are recording this meeting tonight, and it will be uploaded to Valley Transit Authority's YouTube channel. We also have Spanish, Vietnamese, and Chinese interpretation tonight. And I'm going to pause right now and ask our Spanish interpreter to interpret what I just said.
Hola, buenas tardes. Me da muchísimo gusto de que estén ustedes aquí esta noche con nosotros en esta junta. Estamos proporcionando interpretación de español en esta junta la noche de hoy.
Thank you. And our Vietnamese interpreter, please.
Xin chào tất cả quý vị và cảm ơn quý vị đã tham gia với chúng tôi ngày hôm nay. Đây là cuộc họp cộng đồng thứ 3 cho dự án phát triển phương tiện công cộng Berryessa và chúng tôi rất vui là quý vị có mặt ở đây. Chúng tôi đang ghi lại cuộc họp này và phần ghi lại sẽ được đưa lên trang YouTube của VTA. Chúng tôi cũng có phiên dịch tiếng Tây Ban Nha, tiếng Việt và tiếng Trung Quốc cho buổi tối ngày hôm nay.
Thank you. And finally, our Chinese interpreter, please.
大家好，晚上大家好，欢迎来到我们的社区会议第3次的社区会议。我是你的主持人 Tracy。然后呢，我们今天很快会议就会开始，谢谢大家。Back to you, Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, you can access interpretation services by clicking on the globe icon at the bottom of your computer screen or the More tab on your mobile device and selecting the language you wish to participate in. Could our Spanish interpreter please interpret that?
Aquí para las instrucciones de la interpretación de diferentes idiomas están teniendo un icono es el globito. Lo tienen que apretar en ese y después de apretarlo le va a dar las opciones de los diferentes idiomas en las que se está teniendo esta reunión. Usted selecciona en ese momento español para que pueda escuchar esta reunión en español. Si se está reuniendo por un teléfono va a haber 3 puntitos que dice más. En esos 3 puntitos lo pica ahí y ahí le va a dar las opciones de diferentes lenguajes. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. And our Vietnamese interpreter, please.
Và trong cái cuộc họp này, nếu như mà quý vị muốn nghe phần phiên dịch thì quý vị có thể chọn biểu tượng hình quả cầu ở phía dưới cùng của màn hình máy tính, hoặc là cái chữ more ở trên cái thiết bị di động của mình, và sau đấy thì chọn ngôn ngữ mà quý vị muốn nghe. Ở đây thì là tiếng Việt thì sẽ ghi là Vietnamese. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. And finally, our Chinese interpreter.
那大家好，现在跟大家说一下呢，怎么样开启这一个参加这个语言翻译的频道。那如果你想用我们的中文 Chinese 来收听我们这次会议的话呢，请你现在看一下屏幕上的这个画面，它会教你呢怎么样参加或加入这个翻译频道里面。请选择 Chinese C 开头的那个，然后再点击确认就好了。谢谢你。Back to you, Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you all for doing that. So now I'm going to move on to the agenda, and we'll be just doing this in English because we have real-time interpretation now, and anybody that needs it should have been able to get on. So as you can see, the agenda for tonight's meeting will begin with introductions. First, I'm going to introduce our teams to you, and then we'll conduct a poll so that we can learn a little bit about you tonight. After that, we have 3 brief presentations, one about the proposed project, one about the project background, and a final one about the Berryessa study. Finally, we will leave some time for the question and answer session. Thank you. Now I'm going to just briefly discuss logistics. If you have questions as we go through our presentation, please feel free to enter them in the chat function. We have staff on hand tonight to answer questions as they come in. To launch the chat, click on the bubble on the bottom of the screen, which will open the chat window. Make sure your audience is set to everyone so that we can all see that your question come through. We will also have a question and answer session at the end of the presentations if you prefer to provide feedback or ask a question verbally. Next slide, please. Just quickly on meeting etiquette. We'd like to have a very productive meeting for all of us, so we have a quick slide on etiquette. Please take a minute to read this slide. We want to make sure this is a respectful and comfortable meeting for everyone. Staff will remove any participant who exhibits demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior. Please be aware, as I said before, that this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on BTA's YouTube channel. The video and this slide deck will also be posted on the project website. If you have any issues at all with Zoom, please message Anthony with BTA in the chat box. He's on hand to troubleshoot any tech problems. Next slide. I'd like to quickly do a land acknowledgement. VTA acknowledges that the Berryessa site is located on the unceded lands of the Tamian tribe people. VTA's occupation and ownership of this land is the result of colonization, genocide, disease, and white supremacy of Spanish, Mexican, and American settlers and local, state, and federal governments. Historical and cultural resources may be discovered here as VTA begins this development. VTA will make every effort to preserve those remains and ensure they are returned to the communities most connected with them. Okay, and moving on to welcome. Thank you everyone really for joining us tonight. We know you have other things you could be doing with your evening, so we're very glad that you're here. We welcome our Berryessa neighbors, transit riders, and we are really glad that you're going to help us create a new part of this community. We would also like to give a warm welcome to Councilmember Cohen and Wendy Ho from Supervisor Lee's office. We also have Natalie Monk from the county, and she's with Supportive Housing. And I believe that Councilmember Cohen would like to quickly give a quick statement, if I'm not mistaken. Councilmember?
Yes, sure. Good evening. I just wanted to say hello to everyone and thank you for this meeting tonight. I don't want to take too much time since I know you have a packed agenda, but I appreciate the partnership with VTA and the county in bringing affordable housing into a really great location, because we've been committed in the city to building transit-oriented development, and there's nothing better than the Berryessa transit hub with all of the different bus lines and of course the BART coming in there for us to get nearly 200 affordable housing units built. So just want to thank you, thank the Office of Supportive Housing in the county as well, and look forward to hearing the discussion in the hour ahead.
Great. And I don't usually do this, but Wendy, I'm wondering if you'd like to say something or if you'd like to wait till we get to the comment section. I just wanted to give you an opportunity. Okay, I think we'll move on then because we have a packed agenda. So thank you. I'd like to quickly introduce our project team and partners here today. With Valley Transit Authority, I'm going to ask each team member to physically raise their hands so people can see who you are. With Valley Transit Authority, we have Jesse, Jocelyn, Christina, Jolene, Anthony, and Aiko. With Affirmed Housing, this is the developer, we have Rob Wilkins and Shashank Agrawal. And finally, with the project architect, which is Dahlin, we have Padru Kang and Eric Muzi. And you can see on the slide here what their roles are. And then also finally from Arcadis IBI Group, BTA's Access Study Consultant, we have Christina Martinez. Okay, we'd love to learn a little bit about you. So we are going to take a couple minutes and walk you through 4 short polls. And I promise you they really are short. We will put up each poll, wait about 30 seconds for you to populate the answers, and then I'll share the results and we will move on to the next poll. After that, we'll move right into our presentations. So the first poll, who are you? Do you live near Berryessa Station? Do you work or go to school near Berryessa Station? Or you don't live or work near Berryessa Station and you have another affiliation? If you would just mark the right answer, we'll give you a few seconds. Okay, so that looks like we have everybody, and I will say that 83% of the people live near Berryessa Station, 17% work or go to school near Berryessa Station, and 0% don't live or work near Berryessa Station. So next slide, please. Thank you. So we'd love you just to describe yourself a little bit more. Are you a renter? Are you a homeowner? Are you currently experiencing being unhoused? Okay, so 50% are renters and 50% are homeowners. Oh, and nobody, at least at this meeting right now, is experiencing being unhoused. Okay, third poll. Please describe yourself again. How do you get around? Do you drive mostly? Do you use your bicycle? Do you take transit? Do you walk? Do you park your car at the Berryessa station, or do you have some other form of transportation? Okay, so 80% of you, this isn't quite adding up. So 80% of you drive to get around, and probably have more than one answer. 40% of you take transit to get around, and 40% also walk. Okay. And then finally, our last slide. Our last poll, please. Right, we'd love to know if you attended the September 2022 Berryessa Transit-Oriented Development Community Meeting. Okay. And it looks like we have our answer. And this is so interesting to me. 100% of you didn't. So you folks are all new attendees to this. And we don't have anybody that did attend in September. All right. So thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. We're very appreciative. And now I'd like to move on and give this over to Dahlin, to the project architect, to talk about the site and project background. And that's Eric.
Thank you, Tracy. My name is Eric Muzzy. I'm Entitlement Project Manager with Dahlin Architecture and Planning. The project site is highlighted in red on this slide and is currently a vacant lot located at the corner of Berryessa Station Way and Mayberry Road. The Berryessa BART Urban Village Plan boundary is shown as a red dashed line in this slide. Under the Urban Village Plan, future development of the site is expected to include mixed use, commercial, and office space. This slide shows some of the existing land uses surrounding the project site. Phase 1 of the development will include affordable housing located at the northeast corner of the site. This location is shown on the map with a dashed black line and is labeled project site. Added improvements to the existing Berryessa Transit Center amenities will include crosswalks, sidewalks with accent paving, and tree wells. This will improve pedestrian and bike connectivity to the surrounding community. This rendering shows an aerial view of the project site and the surrounding context. The Phase 1 affordable housing building and future phases of the project will have direct access to the BART station and other transit facilities. Multimodal transportation improvements will include scooter share, car share, and a ride share loading zone to assist with first and last mile connections. That concludes the site background information, and now I'll pass the presentation back to BTA.
Thank you, Eric. I'm going to back up a little bit just because, we often get the question, why is VTA developing our property? And the reason for that is by putting development right by a transit station, whether that's housing or offices or retail shops, we can boost ridership on trains and buses and reduce the number of cars on the road. This reduces congestion and greenhouse gas emissions and creates a more interconnected and accessible city to residents of all income levels. This kind of development is called transit-oriented development, or TOD. VTA has a TOD program, and the goals are to increase transit ridership, to use individual developments as catalysts to attract more investment in station areas to create transit-oriented communities, and to provide long-term stable revenue for VTA that we can then invest into our public transit system. VTA's TOD program has an affordable housing policy that at least 25% of the units in any given development must be affordable, and a total of 40% of all units across the TOD portfolio must be affordable. Berryessa is one of 4 partnership sites between VTA and the Santa Clara County Office of Supportive Housing. Santa Clara County is providing funding from the Measure A Affordable Housing Bond, and VTA is providing land on 4 sites and staff to oversee the project. In addition to Berryessa, we are pursuing these goals at Branham and Capitol Light Rail stations in South San Jose and Winchester Light Rail Station in Campbell. Back in October of 2021, we first came to the community to present the idea of a development at this site. We released a request for offers to the developer community that December and selected Affirmed Housing Group as our partner for this project in the spring of 2022. In September of that year, we introduced Affirmed to the community in our Meet the Developer meeting, and tonight they're presenting, along with Dahlin, an update to that project. And as VTA develops sites for TOD, a key principle is that we are the long-term landowner, and we are committed to being a good neighbor throughout the entire life of this project. We're committed to engaging with this community to hear your input throughout the development process. Next slide, please. The people of San Jose, along with VTA, want to see our neighbors thriving. Residents of color in Santa Clara County have historically been excluded from equitable housing opportunities. According to a 2021 Brookings Institution study, the San Jose region ranked as the most prosperous region in the country, but in the bottom 5% nationwide for racial inclusion. At VTA, we're working to address disparities of experience based on race and income. The TOD program provides affordable housing and jobs near transit, which can help address housing barriers and segregation in our communities. We ask that you all join VTA in our efforts to create a community where all people are housed, mobile, and heard. And I'll hand it back over to Eric.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to project updates. Our vision for the site includes 195 affordable and supportive housing units within a 10-story building. The conceptual site layout and development summary information are shown on this slide. One significant update since our last presentation is a relocation of parking. The current design shows 15 parking spaces within the building, with the remaining residential parking located in the adjacent VTA parking structure. The development will also include long-term bicycle storage spaces and a repair station on site. During our last community meeting, we received feedback that publicly accessible central plaza spaces were on the neighborhood's wish list. Our design includes an easement to create this plaza space and to allow for public access between the 3 development phases. Another significant update compared to the previous presentation is the relocation of the private courtyard amenity. The courtyard is now proposed at ground level, whereas the previous design located the courtyard on the 2nd level. This update will provide opportunities for better pedestrian connections throughout the project and to the station area. This is a rendering of the preliminary building design as viewed from the northeast corner of the site. The building incorporates a contemporary style using high-quality exterior finish materials. Variation in architectural features and framing creates a rhythm and scale that is comfortable for a building of this size. This view shows the proposed building as viewed from the northern portion of the site, looking through the central pedestrian plaza towards Mayberry Road. The public plaza is envisioned as an opportunity for indoor-outdoor community serving space and a potential location for public art from local artists. Here's a rendered view of the courtyard amenity space for residents. This is located at ground level, adjacent to the community room and the central plaza. Though this amenity space is private, we feel the relocation to ground level will contribute to the open, park-like quality of the publicly accessible central plaza space. This slide shows images of some of the exterior finishes that we envision for the project. These include metal wall panels, horizontal fiber cement panels, plaster, storefront window systems, and metal sunshades. And finally, this slide shows images of some of the amenities that we envision for the project. These include landscape courtyards, seating and gathering spaces, and indoor recreation spaces such as the community room with contemporary styled fixtures. And now I'll pass the presentation back to VTA.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Cuenco, and I'm the VTA project manager for the Berryessa Station Access Study. In conjunction with our TOD project, we are kicking off a station access study to analyze current access conditions and identify specific transportation improvements for the Berryessa station area. The focus of VTA's access study is to make it easier to walk, bike, and take connecting transit to the station as the site redevelops with TOD. The outcome of the study will be a set of recommendations for access improvements in the station area, which may include bicycle and pedestrian connectivity, better pedestrian lighting, traffic calming measures, and or other safety improvements. We are in the beginning stage of this planning study. This summer, we'll be working with our consultant team, stakeholders, and community to document the current access conditions and transportation gaps in the station area. We will be conducting a series of outreach activities to ask for community input on transportation challenges and barriers in getting to the station, and then work with the community to identify some potential solutions. In the fall and towards the end of the year, we will develop a set of recommendations for the transportation improvements identified. I'll pass it off to Christina Martinez, our access study consultant from Arcadis IBI Group, to provide an overview of the current site access conditions in the project area.
Thank you, Aiko. So today we wanted to share a few slides to provide you with some context about the area. The map on this slide shows the station area. So when we say station area, we mean the half-mile radius around the station. This is the distance that can generally be reached within 10 minutes by walking. So this is our study area. As part of our initial stages of our study, we will be looking at existing facilities for different modes of transportation to help us identify station access needs. These include pedestrian, bicycle, and transit facilities. First, this map illustrates the existing sidewalks in the area. As you can see, there are sidewalks in most of the station area, with the exception of some industrial areas to the south of the station and a bit of the residential areas to the northwest and southeast. There are also a number of existing bikeways in the area. We see all 4 of the bike lane types recognized in California, mostly Class 2 bike lanes, which are separated from vehicle traffic by a painted line on the roadway. We do see protected bikeways to the south on Mayberry Road, meaning they are further separated from vehicle travel lanes by a vertical physical barrier. This connects directly to the station via a path that is off the roadway and can be used by both bicyclists and pedestrians. Another path runs along Berryessa Station Way, and the Upper Penitencia Creek Trail in green also connects to the station. In terms of transit access, the Berryessa Station is the terminus of the BART orange and green lines, which connect to Richmond and Daly City. Transit riders can also connect to 4 VTA bus routes at the station. So far, as was mentioned earlier, there have been 2 community meetings about the development of this site. One was held at the end of 2021, and another was held last September. Both meetings provided an opportunity for community members to give feedback. What we've heard from these meetings was that related to mobility and access is that there are opportunities for safer walking and biking connections to the station, shared mobility, and improved lighting in the station area. We also heard about traffic and safety concerns, particularly along Mayberry Road and its intersection with King Road, the bridge over Penitencia Creek, and bike safety concerns at Berryessa Road and Lundy Avenue. For tonight's meeting, we are interested to hear from you all what transportation infrastructure, amenities, or services in the station area need improvement. We invite you to think about this question and look forward to hearing from you more during the Q&A. Feel free to also type in the chat as you identify specific areas that are challenging. And if you're interested in being more involved with this access study, we want to highlight that we have a number of different opportunities for you to give your feedback throughout the study, including 2 rounds of online surveys and pop-up events near the station. The first round will be occurring within the next month, so our project team will begin noticing and sending mailers to the community soon. We will also be conducting a walk audit in the station area later this summer that community members are also welcome to join. With that, I will now pass the presentation back to Shashank.
Thank you, Christina. Next, we'll discuss what are the next steps on this project. The project team just started the design process and is planning to submit the first set of drawings by the end of July 2023. If everything goes as planned, we expect to get entitlements by early 2024. Furthermore, we are planning to have at least 1 more community meeting between now and then, so that should give us ample amount of time to get community's feedback. And as a development team, we are available to meet people individually and in small groups to get any feedbacks or queries. Furthermore, the project is not expected to start construction for another 2 years from now. So we have plenty of time to further shape this project. Now we'll move on to Q&A session. Thank you.
Great. So I'm going to open this up now for Q&A. We do have a couple questions in the chat box. I'd like to ask our Vietnamese interpreter to translate the first question in the chat box in English so I can read that out if you would. And the next question is, this may be a bit early to tell, but are there any plans to ensure these new housing developments are made of materials that can help make this neighborhood more sustainable? Lower overall carbon footprint, like green roofs. So I think that would be Rob from Affirmed Housing.
Hello, everyone. Yes, sustainability is a big deal in all of our developments. We don't have a green roof, but it's an interesting idea that we can explore. Usually we have solar on the rooftop, like 90% of it, but other sustainability measures that we take. Eric, did you want to talk about that a little bit? Maybe.
Yeah, it is fairly early in the process, but some of the things that we know will be incorporated are the solar on the roof. As Rob mentioned, we're looking into permeable paving to reduce runoff wherever possible on the site development. And additionally, we'll incorporate parts of the mobility hub concept. So that should help with non-auto related transit opportunities for the neighborhood on site.
Okay, thank you.
And just to add on that, Tracy, I just wanted to say that it really is a true a TOD site and green site, and that with limited parking, we're taking advantage of parking that's already there. We are also, affirmed when we do a development, we really try to have some community benefits involved. So we are to the tune of a few $100,000 going to help with those access improvements to allow people to get to those alternate transportation methods and things like that. So sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
No problem at all. Thank you. Okay, I would also encourage you, if you'd like to raise your virtual hand, I'm happy to take questions that way. And until I see a hand raised up, and John Permani, I'm going to ask you to help me with that. Let me know if somebody has their hand because I can't see all of this on my screen. Okay, the next is just a simple comment. My name is Hung Tran. This is the second time I have joined the meeting. Thank you, Hung. We're glad you're here. Thanks for correcting our poll too. So we had one person that attended the meeting in September 2022, it looks like. Okay, next question. Has there been a study on the congestion that will be created in the area? And I think I'm going to pass that to you, Aiko. Is that correct?
Oh, I thought Affirmed will.
Will that be affirmed? Forgive me then. Okay, so affirmed. Has there been a study on the congestion that will be created in the area? So I guess two types, right? Congestion relating to housing and then people coming in.
Not to mind. There's not been a study on the congestion that we've done, at least, or that we know about, and it. I guess it would be congestion for people because we're trying. Yeah, we could do that, but we haven't yet.
Okay, so there has not been one. There has not been a study yet, but Rob will consider doing that. Okay, next question. Will there be an intersection on Mayberry to 101? There was a meeting at City Hall a long time ago.
I'll jump in. This is Christina with VTA. So that project is being run through the City of San Jose, DOT. I don't have an update on it specifically, but I do know the person who's working on it over at the City of San Jose, and I'll give you their contact information.
Okay, great. Do you want to type that in the chat box maybe?
Yes, will do.
Perfect. Okay, Kimberly thanks us for our answers, no problem. And then I need, I just want to say we have somebody here that says, my name is Trang Now. I really support this project. Well, great. We're super glad you're here. And then there's a comment from somebody. It says Mayberry is a very busy street. So something to consider, Rob, as you move forward. Okay, going forward. So this is from Kimberly, and Kimberly, we're perfectly happy to see your face and have you talk if you'd like. I just want to give you that option, and let me know if you'd like to do that. It says, since the intention is to increase multimodal usage, reduce SOV congestion along Mayberry, which we know is very trafficy already. I'm sorry if this was already shown earlier, but are there any plans to make pedestrian walking safer and bike paths completely separate from the regular roadways? Additionally, bus traffic is likely to increase once residents begin to use the BART Transit Center more. Is there a designated area for pickup drop-offs to make this more efficient?
I can take this one.
And Aiko, I'm just going to have you one more time, everybody here. There's a lot of us, so I'd like you just to start by introducing yourself again and your role in the project, if you would.
Hi, everyone. Aiko Cuenco again. I'm representing VTA Planning, and I'm the project manager for the Berryessa Station Access Study that we just kicked off. So give me a second while I look back at the question. Are there any plans to make pedestrian walking safer and bike paths completely separate from the regular roadways? So we actually have one particular project that I want to highlight, the Central Bikeway Project. This is maybe there's a bike priority corridor, and then the Central Bikeway Project, it's going to be a bikeway between East San Jose and Santa Clara. It's 10 miles in its entirety. It's going to be fully separated, full-length bikeway with 20 protected intersections. So on this particular area, on Mayberry near the station, there will be a two-way bikeway on the north side as you exit the station going west, and there will be a one-way protected bikeway to the south going east. So I can drop the project website into the chat if you want to take a look at that map alignment. And then as part of our access study, we will be looking for other opportunities. One, we're going to document what is already planned for bike and pedestrian improvements in the station area, but then also look for opportunities for what additional improvements that hasn't been identified that we would recommend as part of our study. So we'll be taking a look at that. And then the access study will also be looking at pickup and drop-off areas and whether whether there are more efficient places for it to be located. So that's all part of the access study. So these are really great comments. I really invite you to participate. Now that we have our access study kicked off, we're going to have several engagement opportunities. We can provide feedback just like this. And as we start to kind of develop proposals, really invite your input to let us know, like, if that's some of what your priorities are, if there's other improvements that we should be looking at.
And Aiko, I just have a quick question. Would people access that online survey at the website?
Yes, so we will be posting that on social media, but we also have a Berryessa TOD project webpage, which has our station access study info in there. So we'll be posting our list of engagement opportunities. There will also be listing our survey link once it's available. I see Councilmember Cohen has his hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you gave the answer about the bikeways plan. I was going to answer that question that the city is working on the Central Bikeways plan, but also on a multimodal plan for the entire Berryessa area that will include bike improvements along King Road and Mayberry. And so, yeah, the answer to the question about separated bike lanes is that's in the plan. But I was also going to comment on the question about a 101 interchange. There's still work being done with between the city and Caltrans on figuring out the best alignment for that. But that project is moving forward. It's very important to our overall transportation improvement in the area, but it's also somewhat likely that the interchange will be at 101 in Berryessa rather than at 101 in Mayberry. That's the latest design, but it's not finalized. And there was a community meeting that talked about that. I forget exactly when, probably 6 or 7 months ago. And I'm sure there will be more in the future.
Okay. And then we also put a link to information on that project in the chat. Okay, and we also, I just want to let everybody know, we did put the website for this project in the chat as well. So good place to reference what's going on and then future opportunities for public input. And Kimberly wants to know, oh, no, she said here, Kimberly put a link into the chat as well for the Central Bikeway project. Okay, other questions? Ben, I'm going to ask you to translate this for me. There's a question in Vietnamese. If you would, we'll wait on that.
I'm going to pop in. I also see Kimberly had asked about trees and shade, landscaping plans for the station area.
Okay, let me see here. I'm not getting that, so let me expand my box. There we go. So I'm not seeing that. So, oh, I see. Okay. So thank you for the detailed responses, everyone. Super excited to see this project move forward in my neighborhood. As someone who just used the transit station this afternoon, I'm also wondering if there are plans to also add more trees, shade along the walkways, sidewalks in this area and around it. The current shade amount from the station along the service road is a bit lacking in this heat. So landscaping plans for the transit station. Is that, Jolene, would that be you or Christina? You're muted.
Pardon me, sorry about that.
No problem.
I don't think that we have set plans on that quite yet because we're still pretty early on in the planning process. I will hand this over to a firm to see if they have any percolating plans on that, but I think we're very early on and haven't identified anything in quite that detail yet.
Yeah, I would just add that we're waiting on the access study to be completed and to see what we can do there. I do know also that lighting is a big concern, so so improved landscaping and lighting are two things that we'll take a look at for sure.
Okay, so fair to say that that will be considered as you move forward, that input will be considered and acted upon to the extent you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? We have one here. I often use bicycles into BART station to take buses. I see that pathways for pedestrians and bicyclists are very wide and very safe. Okay, and then Kimberly also wants to say, awesome, appreciate it that you're going to be looking at both of her request, landscaping and pedestrian bikeways and lighting. Other questions or comments? I'll give you a couple minutes. Okay, I'm going to just hand this over to Anthony. I'd like him just to recap how people can continue to participate and if there's a future meeting, how they can sign up on a list to get that or where they need to refer to. And then we'll ask for questions one more time. And if we don't have any, we'll close the meeting a little bit early.
I think Rob had a few words to say, and then I'll follow up after him.
Sure. I just want to thank the people, the 8 or 9 folks that joined us here. Hopefully we get more input and hopefully you guys come to the next meeting and see what we have incorporated. I think the plan is to have it in 3 or 4 months once we have the access study a little bit more complete and have the offsite improvements that we are going to be doing at that time. But again, thanks to everybody for coming.
I'm going to share my screen. Thank you, Rob.
Okay, I'm going to ask people to remind people who you are. So Anthony Lopez, Communications with BTA.
I can find my screen. So again, yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meeting this evening. If you have any further questions or comments, you can email community.outreach@bta.org. The best way to stay up to date with the project is to sign up for updates. You can do so by going to the project page, which Christina put a link in the chat. And I'm sharing the project page, www.vta.org/Berryessa development. And at the bottom there, you can enter your email address to the subscribe to updates box, and you'll be put on our update list. We'll post the slide presentation and on our website, along with a link to the video recording, which will be available on our YouTube channel. So have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, wait 1 second. I think that
Oh,
Kathleen,
yeah.
okay, Kathleen has her
Mhm,
hands up, and then
Kathleen.
I'd like to ask the council member if he has any closing statements as well.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, actually, we didn't get to see Anthony's screen. If we could maybe switch the sharing really quick so we can see what he was talking about on how to sign up.
Oh, well, let's put that screen up.
There you go. That's it.
Perfect. And as a reminder, the project website is in the comments in the chat box, and all of this is on the project website, so easy to access there, and we've just put it in again. And then I quickly wanted to ask Councilmember Cohen if he wanted to make any closing statements.
No, I just thanks everyone for attending and for your good questions. And just like all of you, I look forward to seeing the project move forward.
Okay, well, I would like to say thank you. You all had lots of other things you could have done tonight, so we're so grateful that you graced us with your company. And I wish you all the best for your evening and a happy and safe 4th of July if you celebrate that holiday. Thank you.